We're back. In today's video, we're going to be rebuilding the LS down here. You can't really see it's out of frame. So the last video, which never even became a video, we tore this thing down. And then when I went to edit the whole thing, the microphone wasn't working. So a whole bunch of nonsense. So probably play some B-roll, give you a quick little rundown, but no audio on it. So we're going to start rebuilding the thing right now. Hopefully everything goes smooth. Yeah, thank you. So before we really start this rebuild, I'd like to preface I'm not a professional. Everything's getting put back with like factory clearances and whatnot, so we're just putting it back together. We're not doing anything crazy with it. We're not measuring shit. We're letting it ride. Like I said, everything's going to be pretty much replaced with factory parts, so shouldn't really have a problem. The thing's got a new crank going in it. So I don't really think there's much to worry about. We're going to start by just slipping in the rod bearings for the piston side. Then we'll set the crank in. We'll get the all the main bearings set, and then we'll put the rod caps on at the very end. So let's go. So we're gonna start by putting in the rod bearings. Luckily for the LS's, they have this little like kind of ridge right there. It's not gonna focus, but you can kind of make it out. They literally just slip right into place. The marking is on the rod itself, so like you can't put them on backwards. So that's pretty nice. They literally, when you're doing this, the rods, you don't want any oil on them, because that'll help prevent any problems spinning a bearing and whatnot. So just put them in, make sure that it's flush on each end of the rod, and that's it right there. It's super simple. I'll try to get you guys a close-up. So this will be the close-up. Like I said, I cleaned off all the rod bearings, so there's minimal oil on them. We're gonna line the ridge up. It's right there. In the rod, if you can see those little nipples, kinda. Literally just kind of put it in, wind up. Oh, did I just push the piston out? No, I didn't. Okay. And then boom, it literally just snaps in. That one didn't go as smooth as some of the other ones I did, but super simple. So next up, we're gonna make sure where all the main bearings go on the block side is oil free or very minimal oil to help prevent from potentially spinning a rod, because you want these locked in place. This is not the side that spins along the crank. So we've got those all pretty nice and clean there. Minimal oil, so now we'll start putting on our bearings. So the one with three with the holes goes on the bottom for the oiling process. As you can see, the block has the holes in it down there. You might not be able to see it, but when you're doing it, you will. They also have the same like little groove nipple thing that the rods do, so they'll go right into place. Now this middle one right here, we're gonna leave for last, and I'll tell you about that here in a second. Bam, and like that, you can see the 4 fresh ones are in. So the center one here is called your thrust bearing. So as you can see, it's also got the oiling holes and all of that. It's got the one little alignment slot in it. However, if you can see, not the like brass color, right where my finger is, it might be hard to focus. There's 1, 2, and 3 small little indents, and then there's 2 on the other side. The side with the 3 small little indents will always go backwards towards the flywheel, which in my case is this way. You can see my motor stand right here. So we'll drop this in just like that. Make sure you verify that's the right way. We'll double check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I don't know if this is brand specific, but on mine and the videos I watched, it was all the same way. So that's what we're gonna do right here. And I'm putting in everything I'm doing right here is Clevite bearings, rod, and the main bearing. So we have all of our rod bearings and main bearings in here. So next up, we're gonna put the crank in this thing. This is gonna be a little bit more difficult because we are doing it with the rods and pistons and the block still. So you're gonna have to kind of line everything up in one shot and you know, and do it. But we're gonna do our best to make that work. If it doesn't work, we might take the pistons and rods out, but I don't necessarily want to, so we're gonna try not to. But we'll see what happens, so we'll work on that. So one of the next things we're gonna do is apply some Permatex engine builder assembly lube to the rod bearings, the main bearings, the crank, all that stuff. This stuff is super thick, so I would definitely recommend wearing gloves. This is not normal oil. So I'll show you guys. You know, you can see the red everywhere. Apply a nice healthy dose. I'm gonna do the rod bearings off camera because it'll be way too long of a clip to show you guys, but we're gonna do the rod bearings. So the next thing I'm gonna do, since I got everything lubed up pretty well, I'm gonna set the crank in place and then kind of lube it once it's in place. Since my bench is a little crowded, it should be easier for me to do it that way. If you have the room, I would recommend lubing the whole crank up outside of the motor. Alright, so I got Tyler to help me, so he's gonna kind of play with the...
I'm gonna fiddle your rod.
Yeah, he's gonna play with my rods while we fiddle this thing into place.
Let's go then.
Alright, so Tyler's a big help.
Finagled
Helping
it.
me get the rods in place, so that was nice not having to push out all the rods and whatnot. Now, like I said, now I'm gonna assemble or lube the rest of the crank before we do the full assembly. So I'll lube it off camera because I showed you guys that already. Alright, so the crank's all in place. All the rods are butted up to the crank. None of the rod caps are on yet. When you're putting the rod caps back on, you have to put them back in the same exact orientation when you pulled them off. They're like two rocks broken apart. They have to go back in the same exact way they came apart or they will not fit. And if you didn't label them when you pulled them apart, you're fucked. You're gonna be sitting here trying to figure out exact precise rock pieces together, basically. That's the best way for me to describe it. So I'm gonna start that now. I'm gonna put them all on like basically hand like tight, and then I'll put the main caps on like hand tight, and then I'm gonna torque them all down kind of like in one process. So I'm not putting away the torque wrench, taking it back out, tools in the way, shit like that. So let's go. So like I said, I'm gonna put the rod bolts and stuff. So I actually have ARP rod bolts, so I'm gonna use some ARP like fastener assembly lube. Honestly, like I said, not a professional engine builder. Not really sure why you use this, but you use it. So I'll put a little bit on all of them before I, like I said, hand tighten them in, and we'll be good to go. So as you guys can see, we got this rod cap on, but not bolted on yet. I just slipped it into place. I got a couple on already. I'm gonna apply a little bit of this fastener lube to the bolt. Nothing crazy. Little glob will do ya. We're gonna put it in. Do the same thing to the other bolt. If I can get it in. I can't quite, so we're gonna just tighten this one down a little bit. Just a little bit. I'm gonna spin the crank just a little bit so we can get that puppy in there. So now when you're doing this, the caps like aren't threaded, but you can't really spin them by hand either. So I just use the ratchet, and then the bolt will drop a little. You might be able to see it. Right there, it dropped a little bit, and now you can start threading it into the actual rod itself. And then afterwards we'll torque these. So when you put these rods together, and like I said, if you didn't match your rod caps to the rods and organize them, you basically should barely be able to tell that they're two separate pieces. It should literally look like a hairline fracture, that's it. I'm gonna complete the rest of the rods off camera. It's super simple. You just pop the caps on, make sure they're in the right place, snug them up, and then we'll go back and torque them later. So the next thing we're gonna do is start putting the the main caps on. I already have the bearings installed and then lubed up, so we're gonna set them on and put them all hand tight. So now they actually are. It might be hard to see on camera, but they are labeled what position they go. And if you see these little kind of like ears, they all face the back of the motor, but the one at the back of the motor faces the front of the motor. My camera battery's about to die, but like you saw, and then we'll put all the bolts in and we will torque them down later. Alright, so I just got out of the shower. I wanted to give a final clip, so I didn't show myself torquing down the main bearings or the main caps and the rod caps. My camera battery died, and it's super simple. Literally just look up a like torque guide for them on Google. You'll find them instantly. The rod bolts are like, well, every rod bolt kind of matters, but it's like 40 foot-pounds or something like that, 45. And then the main bearings are like 18 pounds, and then a torque dangle after that. So super simple. Thank you guys for watching. That's going to be the end of the video of rebuilding the short block. Once we have the heads and all that new stuff, we'll do another video, but that'll probably be a couple weeks. So stay tuned. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out our merch down below. This is actually an old hoodie. I don't even know if it's still on the website, but we have stuff. Check it out. Parts, tires, all that good stuff. Peace out.